favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Minutes from the September 28th meeting.
Make a motion to accept those minutes as presented.
Second.
A motion is second to accept the minutes as presented. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. JD, good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Got anything for the board today?
Nothing to report this morning. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We'll move into reports. Tony.
Morning, guys. You're up.
Morning.
I have I handed out there as a kind of a spreadsheet here of some loans for the interdepartment loan for the wastewater and the electric department. Started that several years ago, and we kind of got that complete, so it's time to get this loan started. Been reviewing it. The current balance for the aeration basins and clarifiers is $8,441,203. In that top example there, I broke out. We already have one loan with the electric department, and it's due to mature in March of 26. So you can see there in that wastewater treatment plant loan number 1, that's kind of the breakout between the principal and interest of that current loan. The current interest rate right now, T-bill rate is 5.47%. So if you go down there to the bottom of that top, you'll see the $32,172 is the monthly payment we're currently paying right now on that loan. If we did a 20-year for the basins of the $8.4 million, we're looking at roughly a $57,000 loan payment, monthly loan payment. So those two loan payments combined would be a monthly payment of $90,095. And I kind of highlighted those columns in yellow to show the total in the bold. Talking with Jeff, what I've looked at doing is consolidating those two loans into one loan for 20 years. That would make the payment $64,023. That difference over there to the side is kind of the savings we would have in the next 2.5 years, and then after that, the $73,000 is what we'd be paying difference. And the reason I've looked at doing that is kind of, we still have some projects down there that we need to be done. Back when we first looked at doing a loan, I think we reached out to MMU, and I think they were 2.5%. T-bill rates have skyrocketed since we've done this. So I'm hoping that over the next 20 years, our rates will come down, and then we can kind of take more advantage of it. If worst case scenario, if we did this rate for 20 years, we would have to pay an additional $511,000 of interest by consolidating the two. But I think those next 2.5 years kind of gives us some time to look at some potential projects, give us some time to plan for, I know the UV system, and then evaluate interest rates again here in December, because they could go up even additional from 5.47. Below, I basically did the same thing as a 30-year, just to kind of give an example, some options. I really didn't feel good about going out 30 years, but I didn't feel good about going shorter either. So 20 was kind of where I felt comfortable with everything, and talking with Jeff. Just wanted to kind of open this up for some discussion, thoughts, questions. I think the benefit is that we have control of the money in our department loans. However, what's good for wastewater could be bad for electric, meaning that extending the term is longer. It's going to take electric to get the money back, but there's also the interest rate factor in that too.
Yeah, I think that Tony and I talked, I think we'll have some opportunities within that 3-year period to, either the T-bill rates will come down or refinance this in a lower term at some point. So in 20 years, that's pretty much the life expectancy of most equipment at a wastewater plant. I mean, if we were going to depreciate this, it would probably be over a 20-year schedule. So we didn't feel comfortable going out any further than that. We wanted to keep it as, you know, kind of in line with the equipment line, so.
And if we didn't consolidate them, Tony, we would just continue to pay through 2026 on this first loan?
Correct. So yeah, so the next 2.5 years, the payments would be 90,000.
Okay.
And then it would drop down to.
Then it dropped to 57?
Correct, yeah.
Okay, all right.
And I'm not necessarily against doing that, it's just the next 2.5, you know, we have rates go up. I think we're kind of pushing that 90,000. I didn't feel too good about.
And if we do consolidate, then we're gonna have 20 payments of 57,923.
Correct.
Okay.
If we consolidate, then it'd be 64,023.
Oh, okay, okay, all right, yeah, I see, yep.
And then, you know, we can always, I think if interest rates dropped to 2.5%, our payment on the consolidated would drop to 49,000. So we could continue to pay the 64 on top of that. But that kind of gives us some flexibility to kind of say how we
Okay.
control the finances on the wastewater
Pay
side.
us earlier.
Correct, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it'd be a pretty good deal. I agree with the 20 years. I don't want to push it out 30 years. It's just too far out.
I think, and I see the logic in consolidating it, yeah.
Well, I think if you guys are good with it, I think we just need an action and authorize you to sign the interdepartment loan agreement.
Yeah, just be a motion to approve the interdepartmental loan agreement as presented, and then I can sign that, sign and date that agreement. We'll have a record with the payment schedule and all those things in the file, so. We still have a little bit of an outstanding balance that we have to pay, and I think we're just gonna pay for that.
Right now in reserves, we have 736,000. I'm just gonna use that reserves to pay the, what's it,
334 or something. It's just a little bit less than retainage, I think, and it's, Burns has been a little bit reluctant to bill us for it because there's only one thing left. I think, the lights is
They're
already.
supposed to be here today.
Okay, well, I know they were over at North Street yesterday, so.
Did they get the situation with the mixer, did they get that, was it a mixer problem?
Blower.
Blower, yeah.
They're supposed to be working on that today or tomorrow too.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a cable, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's been replaced and confirmed, but I think that's everybody's thoughts right now.
Well, I would make a motion to approve the wastewater interdepartment loan agreement as presented.
And that would be to go to a 20-year consolidated?
Correct.
Okay, I'll second that.
So motion second to authorize director to sign a loan agreement for a 20-year consolidated loan from electric to wastewater. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Thank you, gentlemen. Not much left in there, just kind of working on some reporting, getting the auditor stuff ready. Have an annual cash report that I gotta get to Amy by the next week or so. I think that's it.
Any other questions for Tony? Thank you, Tony.
Thank you.
Eric, or I'm sorry, Travis, good morning.
Morning.
I skipped you.
I have a couple action items for you this morning. The first one being replace trucks 206 and 207. They are both budgeted items. 206 is a two-wheel drive, half-ton pickup, and we're wanting to replace it basically with a four-wheel drive, half-ton. Gonna have it equipped with tow package and all that. Because currently the one we have now, it doesn't have any of that. Then 207, we just want to replace it with a similar unit. Both of these trucks, they're showing their age really bad. Starting to rust out and everything else. So my recommendation, motion to request bids for a new half-ton four-wheel drive truck and a new three-quarter ton four-wheel drive truck.
What are we pulling with the half ton? I didn't come up with pull.
We can't pull anything with that one, it's not equipped.
No, I'm not talking about tow package. I mean, is the half ton big enough to pull the equipment we're actually pulling?
Yes. Yeah, it'd just be a trailer with the gator and stuff like that, or lawnmower. Is it?
We're not hauling heavy equipment with it or anything.
No, not with that one. The 3/4 ton, we use it if we have to send off one of our well motors or the brass pump bowls or something like that. And then we use it to get pallets of distilled water for the lab, pallets of salt and things like that. So we definitely need a 3/4 ton for those type of things.
And this is to request the bids, so, yeah, I would make a motion to request bids for a new half-ton 4x4 truck and a new 3/4 ton 4x4 truck.
Second.
Motion and second to request bids for a new half ton 4x4 truck and a new 3/4 ton 4x4 truck. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign, motion carries.
Okay, thank you.
What year were you expecting to get these trucks?
Well, who knows?
Yeah, don't commit.
If you go by some of the lots, they're plumb full of them, so it's like, I'm not real sure what the deal is, but. Next action item is asbestos abatement there at the water treatment plant. It's just in that one, it's an old office or break room that they used to have. We want to redo that floor and everything in it, and then redo it so we can make it back into an office, everything. And that's just to remove the floor tile and the mastic in that. So the recommendation request proposals to remove the asbestos containing floor tile and mastic adhesive at the water treatment plant.
The way the action item reads, it's replacement of the floor tile, so is this the cost to go back in with the tile?
The total budget, yes.
Okay.
Which to replace it or whatever we're gonna do with that, that's gonna be within the house labor and everything, doing that.
Okay, so the 10,000 would cover the removal and the labor to reinstall.
Yes. Yep.
And has this tile and mastic been tested?
I believe so.
Okay, it's been tested and it does, asbestos containing?
Yep.
Okay. Okay.
Well, I'll make a motion to request proposals to remove the asbestos containing floor tile and mastic adhesive at the water treatment plant.
Second.
Motion is second to request proposals to remove asbestos containing floor tile and mastic adhesive at the water treatment plant. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign, motion carries.
Thank you. A couple updates. The number 2 primary basin flocculator has been repaired. And then we did start spreading some lime sludge on one field. Then we had a truck issue with that. Hopefully that'll get repaired this week. Then they can finish that one field. Then I have another one lined out to spread. And then we're gonna start doing soil samples probably next week. So, and I've got how many acres? I think I already have, that's close to 1,000 acres, I think, total, that we're gonna be able to sample, hopefully starting next week, so.
Is it enough to get rid of quite a bit of the lime?
I hope.
Oh, okay. Okay, I
The one
understand.
field that we're currently doing, I think it only needs like 41 ton, so not a whole lot there. The other field, it'll take like 240 ton. These other ones, it just kind of depends on what they're gonna need.
Rate of application.
Yep.
Yeah. And then, I'm sorry, did you say that the filter media is complete?
No,
They still
filter
got
media, they still have the one
one
filter
to do?
left.
Okay.
Are they working on it currently, or?
No, they moved out.
Sometime next spring.
I believe he's the bad part. The same company that did it last time?
Yes.
They're the only company out there that does it?
It's the only one that gave us a bid. And I forgot how many we actually sent it out to. It was quite a few and nothing. Had several come look and I guess they didn't like the way it looked or something and ran. So,
Have there been any problems? I mean,
no?
we weren't aware of any problems. I mean, I just wonder why that.
It's apparently just not a desirable job.
Yeah, I think they've had some supply issues and some different things, but I'm confident they'll get it done. It's just because this was kind of par for the course for the first two filters they did. I mean, it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, the first one, they drug it out quite a while. The second one, they actually came in, stayed the entire time, took it out, put it back in that same time frame, and then they left. Which they're needing some more media to finish this one, the other one, and everything, and they were supposed to be getting it ordered, and I haven't heard anything from them. So,
No, I think at this point, it just kind of is what it is. We'll get it when we get it.
yeah,
I think they're only billing us when they complete one, so.
yeah.
The media that's left over that's for the third one, is it just sitting around?
Some of it that we have, some of it's still on site, but I think they're short on some of the gravel and the anthracite. They're short on that. I think the sand and everything, they have all of it on site and everything, it's just a few of them.
Didn't we have a storage problem once before?
They used recycled bags and then it sat it wherever the distribution place was for a long time. And yeah, some of the bags deteriorated and everything, so the straps wouldn't hold. So they ended up putting them on pallets. And that's the way they're having to do it now, is lift them up on pallets and put it in their hopper to put it in there.
I was just wondering about that, because if it's 6 months before they come back, we're gonna have to go through that again, or?
Media they have on site, it's on pallets already,
Okay,
so, except for maybe a few bags.
okay. In the way?
No, it's not really in the way.
Okay.
I think the first one we got done, they got the media here and it sat there for
Yeah.
quite a while before they
Yeah.
came to install. Or-
That's why I was asking.
Yeah. Keep up the good fight. Any other questions for Travis? Thank you, Travis.
Thank you.
All right, Eric.
Morning.
Morning.
Update on the north final. We did get it drained. We didn't find anything stuck underneath. So I've had a couple calls with Clearstream, who's the manufacturer of the new final, and with some options to troubleshoot, and we're currently troubleshooting, going through those right now. And then we cleared the sludge pad off, so we have no sludge left. And other than that, I'll answer any questions.
Has all of our sampling been okay and everything within our limits?
Yep. Everything's been great.
So do we think maybe this high torque, maybe something, whenever they work on it, just have some drag, or?
I don't think so. I'm leaning towards now maybe the meter itself, because when you can put a little pressure on that actuator, it runs and everything sounds great and it runs fine. So I'm thinking it's either in that meter, in that torque meter, or the actuator that goes in and out. So.
Is it drained right now?
It is not now. We had some sludge in the bottom still, so we're trying to get it pumped out so we can see the manifold at the bottom as well and make sure they're not clogged up. And that's one of the other troubleshooting that they gave us. So.
Okay.
Any other questions for Eric?
No.
Thank you, Eric. Doug, good morning.
Morning. Not much to add, just to update the West Substation relay breaker testing. That project is complete. In the process of re-energizing that substation, we had an issue with 300 CS circuit switcher for West Sub. That failed to operate. We were able to get it isolated, get the transmission line switched back around. Parts are all in order for that. Initially, it was 16 to 17 weeks delivery time, but I've talked to the territory manager, and they're going to significantly improve that. I hope. Sounds like they're going to try to stop the assembly line and get us parts off of that. So hopefully we'll get that repaired soon. Flatbed truck 302, that is at Marshall Welding now. I anticipate they'll finish it early next week. They were welding the hitch on yesterday and getting it finished up, so looking to get that back soon. Not much else to add unless you got any questions for me.
Is that West Substation relay, is that kind of part of the issue around that Sunday outage?
A little bit, because the substation's down, we had that load switched around to North Street substation, so the West Sub 303, breaker 303 load, which is what was the outage, was actually switched over to North Street sub. There was a squirrel, it took a little bit to find it. It was on Best Street, what initiated it, and because of the way it was switched around, it was a coordination issue with, we think, the main breaker from Miami that actually cleared it. Also, the breaker did open it at North Street sub, but the breaker at Miami opened also, which had a larger outage than it should have. I did get the event files to engineers. They looked at that and recommended that we slow that relay down a little bit at Miami sub. We have done that. Also during that outage, I think there were approximately 1,500 people out for about 98 minutes. During that outage, we also lost SCADA, which added to the confusion. We also lost radios, so the backup generator at the office didn't start. We had several things that failed at the exact same time that we needed it. So most of those things I think are being addressed, or already have been addressed.
Well, what was the generator? Why didn't it start?
I think it started, it just had an oil pressure issue.
The oil pressure sending unit went bad on it. It looks like it did start, but I don't think it ran for very long.
That thing does, it self-does, doesn't it, every 2 weeks or something?
That morning.
Every Sunday morning.
Wait, and then the UPS, wouldn't it have had a battery backup?
Well, the UPS is the battery backup.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it tests the battery every week or whatever, but it was the UPS itself. The battery was probably fine, but the UPS itself didn't work, so.
Okay.
So whenever the load got dumped onto it, it just opened up a relay or fuse or whatever and didn't do anything.
Failed.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's an online UPS, so it's supposed to be, if the battery's not working, it's supposed to just pass electricity through or whatever else, or it should handle that better than it did, but we've got some replacements ordered, so.
Okay.
One squirrel shows a lot.
Yeah.
Any other questions for Doug? Thank you, Doug.
Thank you.
Grant, good morning.
Good morning, Jim.
Morning.
Just a couple updates. The masons are approximately 90% complete. We did find a couple cosmetic issues with some of the mason work that Burns and Mac is addressing now. They got a couple of vent pipes that stick through that they, once Mega gets here and starts their work, they can repair those. The station is shut down. That is misquoted there. It's not till probably mid-November when we'll take that station out and that reservoir down. Just because Mega's got plenty of work to do before we have to get rid of that. Pardon me. And North Lincoln is done. Fire hydrant's in. We should be having the results back any time now. I think they're good at 9 o'clock this morning for the back T test. So once we get those back and they're good, we'll start swapping services over. Visu was here on October 2nd. They are complete. And I did get an email from them this morning with their paperwork and their videos, so I'll review that and and we'll get them paid and get that closed out. And natural gas, we did, in doing the Missouri Public Service Annual Inspection and walking that line, there were 3 metal vent pipes we found damaged that either mowers or combines or grain trucks. So they'll be sending me an estimate for repairs on those. And I'm looking probably somewhere between $4,000 and $6,000 to repair these. They have to be welded by certified welders and fit by pipe fitters and all that. But other than that, that's all I got. Unless you have any questions.
Question? Well, thank you. Jared, good morning.
Morning. Did have a kickoff meeting with Ethos last week. The date of November 1st is official now. They will be here on the 1st. Do have the crane lined up for November 1st also. We did take the radiator out of the starting diesel. We knew it had a small leak and it turned out it was a much larger hole than we had anticipated, so they are recoring that radiator. And we're continuing to do everything we can to be ready for Ethos on the 1st. That's pretty much all I got, unless you got any questions.
Does the roof have to come off?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
And will that be ethos?
It'll be a combination of Ethos and us. Yep.
Is that designed such that you just,
Take panels off, yeah.
okay.
Yep.
Any other questions for Jared?
No.
Thank you, Jared. Jim, good morning.
Morning. Not a whole lot to add to what's in the packet. Just continuing working on installs and splicing. Where we are done with the splicing down in Mount Olive area, so got a little progress map there. The stuff you see in the magenta color, that's what we plan on bidding out for next year. And we're making a few final revisions. That bid should go out this week.
Jim and I'll show my ignorance, but whenever all this, I'm sure this has all been thought out, but whenever this is all completed, I mean, is there a need for more, is there gonna be any speed problems with, where we're at existing? I mean, how do you account for that?
Yeah, we keep track of, we've got a graph that shows our total usage, and we're probably, let's see, we've got 25 gigs available, and a normal day we use about 15 of them. So the number of customers we're adding isn't all that many compared to what we've got, but probably the next few years we'll be adding another circuit somewhere.
Okay.
The thought is possibly to go directly back to Kansas City on leased fiber and have a direct connection rather than lease an internet connection through somebody else, but that's to be determined yet.
And how far out would we have to be before that?
It all depends on how the load grows. Like the college asked for a quote on adding another gig or something, gig and a half, I don't remember what it was. And if they add several gigs, then our overhead capacity shrinks, and so I don't want to get too close to being full, so I would suspect probably in 2 years, we'll probably be looking at adding something else, but it could be quicker.
Okay. So now we're at 25 gig and we're using about 15?
Yeah.
Okay.
On a normal day, on
Okay.
days when there's like a football game, Super Bowl, internet kind of goes crazy, and so I think our max so far has been somewhere around 18 or 19.
Okay.
So
Where's your comfort zone for that? 20, 21,
probably 20.
20?
Yeah, and it kind of depends too. We've got 3 circuits, 2 of them are 10 gigs and 1 of them's 5 gig. The 5 gig's the least reliable one, so I'm kind of hesitant to add more to it, but the 2 10 gig circuits, the next step up is probably jumping from 10 to 40. So we'll see what the prices are between doing that and adding another 10 gig. So, yeah, if we lose one of the 10 gigs, and then we're about to where our normal usage is. So that's one of those, as long as those are reliable, 20 is probably our comfort point. But
get your conduit set out?
Let's see. The conduit.
Conduit contract.
Oh, the contract, we made a few revisions, we're making a couple more revisions. Jennifer's got pretty much the, next to the last draft. Probably tomorrow afternoon or tomorrow sometime we'll be getting it out. Probably take her a day to print copies of all the maps.
Has that gone up since the?
Don't know yet, but I suspect it will. Our initial, when we did the first grant, our expectation was $1.10 a foot. The actual bid for the first grant was $1.60. The actual bid for the second grant is $2.20 for the first grant. So we're double what we planned on 4 years ago. And next year's, I wouldn't be surprised if it went up again.
How are your pedestals still looking good? Still getting
Yeah,
busy?
we've got probably 270 that are on order since January of last year that are supposed to be here, I think, this month. But we still have a pretty good supply from previous orders. That also took a year and a half. But
That's a pretty good sized project too, so. It's still doing really well, still being well received, so.
yeah, I think we're making some people happy. Making some people wonder why we're not there yet.
I'm waiting to build still, not building to get out there. Any questions for Jim? Thank you, Jim. Thank you, good morning.
Morning. Not too much to add. We did receive our renewal from MetLife. They're the carrier that currently has all of our ancillary benefit coverage. We have a rate hold on everything except for dental. That was a 6% increase, which is what we had budgeted for. And I am hopeful that we will get our renewal on the medical from Blue KC any day. I know they had hoped to have those out last week, and January 1 renewals, and they got held up somehow. So other than that, just want to make the board aware we are having the employee appreciation lunch on Wednesday the 25th at 11:30 right out here. If you all have time to stop by, that would be wonderful. Other than that, I'll be happy to answer questions.
Megan, I'm curious, the first aid, CPR, AED training, is that mandated training for all employees?
We do, yeah. It's a 2-year certification, so
Okay.
electrical employees that have electrical work functions go every year, and everybody else goes every other year. So
Okay.
that's why the numbers are a little over half every time. So
Okay, because that's what I was wondering, was how the other employees, if you have to do another one, or if somebody's not available, how do we make it up?
There are classes around we can send folks to. There are online things. If they don't work on a 2-man crew with electrical contact exposure, it's not a huge deal if they miss a year, but we'll try to look for opportunities.
Okay.
Yeah, I know it happens sometimes, family emergencies and things like that, so.
What company does this for us?
For several years now, we've been using Kansas City First Aid.
They charge us per employee.
Yeah, it's $70 per employee. And when we went to them, we got quite a few quotes at the time that they were selected. I can't remember from who all now, and they were the best, and we've had very few increases from them since that time, so.
Any other questions for Megan?
Mentioned the 25th, right? Wednesday?
Yes.
Okay.
At 11:30.
Well, thank you, Megan. Yeah, good morning.
Morning, gentlemen.
All right.
I do have one action item this morning. This has been, we've probably talked about this for some time. When we moved into our current administration building, that's been probably 32, 33 years ago. We had 3 IT staff when we moved into that. We didn't have a safety specialist, so we've kind of grown some. I think IT has 14. Some of those are out here, obviously. But I think that's another issue too. You've got management in one location and staff at another, and makes things difficult. You know, we talked about with the growth of the internet, having servers and computers and those type of things in a secure area. You know, we've got a lot of stuff in one room: SCADA, internet, email servers, phone servers, and the list goes on. And it's not a very good environment. So there's a lot of different reasons that I think we'd like to start looking into this project. And I think the first step would be to partner with an architect by sending out RFQs. So that would be our request today. Would be motion to approve requesting RFQs for basically step 1 of this process.
Planning on locating this building up
At the old power plant.
So if we do have an opportunity in the future to install more generation, will the noise off of that affect what you have going on?
It should.
It'd be more customer stuff if we move customer stuff out there that it won't affect the computer department, but.
I just don't know how much.
Right, yeah, I don't
Much,
know, what's the decibel rating on 6 right now? It's pretty low.
I don't know that off the top of my head.
I'm more worried about the field, the magnetic
Oh,
field of the
okay.
generation.
Yeah, I thought you were talking noise.
No, I don't.
You're
care about
talking
the
electrical noise. Yeah, when we harden that server room, we could probably put some protection there.
I mean, I don't want to lose the availability on that ground for what
No.
I hope it
Right,
will
right,
come in
and
the
that's
future.
been, I've had several conversations, you know, here recently about that, and it's certainly the possibilities increase daily. You kind of, when I get into talking about the capacity shortage and some of the things we talked about at conference. Yeah, no, that's still a very good possibility, to get some generation located there.
So where would the potential, you know, if there was additional generation, would that be kind of by the coal lot, the old coal lot?
It'd be more on the north end,
The north.
right, and I think where we're looking here is on the south end.
Where the
by
building was
North-
actually at?
By North Street, probably even more so in the front yard of what was the old
Okay.
power plant. It'll probably go into that a little bit. Yeah, but we want to make sure when we do this project, we're reserving space for future generation. And I think we've got adequate space there for both.
I just, one comment I've gotten, you know, going through this, and I think it's fine to, you know, proceed with the planning on it and everything, but I just think to be prudent that we want to be sure that, you know, financially we're in a good spot, and at the least, our minimum cash reserves have been met by department before we would proceed with something at this, you know, not so much the planning, but before we proceed with some construction.
Yeah, and
That's
I
kind
think
of-
we've got a budget amount in mind, but like everything else, I think once we start this, we'll have a better idea.
Right.
I don't see it being under what we've got. I think we've got $2.5 million budgeted over 3 years. So, but you have to start here to kind of know where you're gonna
Right.
end up. And
Yeah,
would-
I think it's fine doing
Yeah,
it.
I would agree, Chuck, as well.
And then one other comment, just, I think, you know, what's the plan for the existing building? You know, what would we do for it? Would we rid ourselves of it, or, that's just something we need to
Right,
think
right.
about
It's
as
in
well.
pretty good shape. I would think it would be a marketable property. I'm not sure what it might turn into. I mean, it's been a few different things throughout its history. It's a grocery store, it's been auto parts, it's been.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but yeah, it's, you know, it's in good shape. I mean, we've maintained it very well. I'd like to think it would be marketable and have some value to it.
And
but-
we just get it, to think about it.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
have a plan for it rather than it just to sit.
No, we don't,
that.
we
Yeah.
don't want that.
Yeah, okay. So I would make a motion to approve requesting RFQs for an architect to assist in the planning, design, and construction of a new administrative building.
Second.
A motion is second to approve requesting RFQs for an architect to assist in the planning, designing, and construction of a new administration building. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries.
Thank you, gentlemen. Was at the annual conference. A lot of stuff centered around capacity. Capacity in the market continues to be an issue. While dispatchable units that you could control decrease, solar's increasing. And at the same time, the SPP just set an all-time peak. I think I put a chart in there for you to see what the what that RTO peaked at. The historical peak was 53.243 gigawatts. It peaked at over 56. So what you're seeing is a push towards electrification of cars, a lot appliances, a lot of different things. But the growth in the supply, dispatchable supply, isn't there. I think you're seeing a lot of a lot of people move to time of use rates. That's becoming more standard to help, make up for some of that capacity shortfall. Natural gas, the transportation system for natural gas was not designed for electric generation. That's why you see the winter issues. The summertime for, kind of the old model, when you had gas turbines for peaking units in the summer, wasn't an issue because the natural gas system just didn't, it didn't have the heating load. Now that all the coal plants and all those have retired and been replaced with natural gas, in the wintertime, when the heating demand and the generation demand, there's not enough capacity. That's really what created the issue in Winter Storm Uri. There just was not enough natural gas. And I don't see that going away for any time soon. It's good that issue is going to be around for some time. So I think based on what I heard in these presentations, I think the decision to rebuild our generator is a very good one. Primarily because it's a dual fuel unit and has the availability to burn diesel if needed. So a lot of stuff going on down there. It's a big transition. Time use rates, that's going to be beneficial. I think we're far and away leading the rest of the pool. Jared and I were down there at a pool meeting Tuesday. I've been getting approached and lots of questions on time of use and billing integration and those type of things. I think a lot of people are just now deploying AMI where we've had ours in place for a while. So
Do they ever talk about doing nuclear?
there's some small modular reactor discussion. That's the technology that was on submarines, and they're about 100 megawatts. Typical size in the city are 1,500 or 2,500, or these big plants. They're small modular reactors. There's one or two that are in testing right now. I think one was in Utah. Utah or Idaho. So they're looking at that. Energy storage, still big with batteries. Energy storage is really going to be the key for the electric industry moving forward, because you currently can't store it other than batteries. So we're going to see what, renewables is just so unpredictable, but there's times where renewable output exceeds consumption. And those are times where if you had some type of storage, you could store that surplus, and then when the wind died, you'd have something to get you through that event. So it's not getting easier. The markets are getting a lot more complicated. They're looking at generation accrediting, and In the past, you're accredited your nameplate, you test for that capacity, and that's what was counted. Now they're gonna count it on reliability, so, and that's across the board. I think it's one of those questions, be careful what you ask, because I think they're gonna see there's a lot of people short of capacity, a lot. And that kind of goes back to what Steve was talking about. There was some discussion down there about the pool placing 50 megawatts of generation in each quarter of Missouri, because we do have members across the state. Those discussions are beginning. What that'll look like, we don't know yet, but a lot of things being discussed. It's gonna be, the next few years are gonna be pretty interesting, for sure. And I did hear back from DNR on the funding we were awarded through the state for the water and infrastructure improvements. We should be getting a project manager in the middle of this month to start us through that process. My fingers crossed. Tony and I have been talking. We hope, I've submitted 2 projects. We've already spent some on the North Street Pump Station project, but we're hoping we can include that whole project, even some of the funding that's already been spent. So we should know a little bit more there. But if that works out, that will be, would work, instead of having to spread that out across 10 projects, if we had a couple, we could do it, it would make it much easier. Because a lot of times these are quite a bit of paperwork involved in making these happen. Don't have anything else to add, be happy to try to answer any questions.
Any other questions for Jeff? Thank you, Jeff. Move on to cash disbursements.
And Jared's annual department report for electric production is in there as well.
Like our peak was still back in 2000, yeah?
Yeah.
And then just one thing on the recycling, Steve and I were talking about it just a little bit earlier. So I know the bottom line doesn't look good, but there's one thing in there, I know that if we didn't provide this service, someone's probably gonna incur some tipping fees. So this does offset some tipping fees that I don't know that this reflects that. And I know it wouldn't be MMU with the tipping fees, but someone's gonna see it. Yeah, that's all.
Cash disbursements and go on to other business.
Okay.
We got big in here, Tony.
You got the power bill, transfer, the city's in there too. You 2 big ones.
Bill for media winner, what is it?
It's in there.
Yeah.
I think it was like 29 something.
Our bill franchise makes up the bulk of it.
That's
Yeah.
900,000, yeah.
Yeah.
I move we approve cash disbursements.
Second?
Motion second to approve cash disbursements. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign, motion carries. Yeah, we were talking on the recycle center about where's that, my question to Chuck was, where's the line? I don't know where it is. It's a great program that does keep stuff out of landfills. I think it's good for the community, but is there a point where the financial loss is overtaking the good that it's doing? you know, 'cause in all actuality, whatever the law says, the customers are still covered. So,
Being subsidized.
yeah, it's being subsidized by the customers. I don't know if it's something that I don't know what to do with it. You got any great ideas? I mean,
Well, the tough part is, you know, on the equipment that we have grants through the solid waste district, I think you're committed at least for the 5 years that from when you receive that equipment, we have to fill out quarterly reports on, the solid waste that's been diverted from the landfill by that equipment for 5 years. And we're probably 2 or 3 years away from that point, so, yeah, I suppose you could give the equipment back, but we've got a big investment there, a lot of stuff. I think, in my mind, we need to look for ways to support it financially. I think closing it would be the absolute last option you'd want to make. Yeah, but I don't know.
I don't want to do that.
No, and I don't know what other resources we could have. We can certainly look around, but it's, Region F's been a good source for us, but they just fund equipment. This is these numbers are even with equipment being funded, so.
What's our highest expense? Is it labor?
Probably.
That's probably our highest expense.
I didn't break it out in there, but I think our depreciation's around 20,000 for that, so. And then I think we've been hedging some of the cardboard. I know there's a lot sitting over there, I think, Jared.
This year looks worse because the price from January's been very low.
Low.
And I've been holding on to a lot of, now it does keep going up. This month it's up to $80 a ton. It keeps going up, so I've kind of been holding on to some of it and just getting rid of a little bit as we need to.
Yeah.
That's a price
That's the way
spike
to
we
do it.
could
Yeah.
cash in, I
We could,
could
yeah.
technically,
Yeah.
send everything we have, but, yeah, last year was kind of an oddity because price dropped and we don't have near the volume, so Jared's been just kind of storing it, waiting for the price to go back up, so that's why the revenue's down, so.
Yeah, it's just a
That
tough
makes me
market.
feel better about it, you know, I mean.
We cut a lot of the labor costs way down over there.
I think when we lost the ConAgra contract, that we were able to, you know, we obviously use less labor over there, but recycle's such a volatile market. It's,
Are there any, automation opportunities? Is there anything we can, do to?
Well, you don't have
reduce our
to answer it
labor?
right now.
Well, I think-
Something we're trying to look in the
that's
future
right.
about.
I'm
Yeah.
sure there are.
Yeah.
I think you guys are getting a lot more drop-off, though. It hasn't that went,
Since COVID and the RTS, the drop-off facilities, there's people there all the time.
Yeah, every time I go to drop off, there's 5 or 6 cars in front of me or behind me, it doesn't matter what time I go.
It's a great service.
It is.
Yeah.
and a lot of that labor, they have to come in on the weekends and unload, clear it all out.
Okay.
I think there's some manual separating that we have to do on some of the stuff that comes in. Recycle that comes in on trucks or mixed paper isn't always all mixed paper, so I don't know how you would automate. I'm sure they make something that would go
Yeah,
through there,
I
pick
don't know.
this out and that out, but yeah, it's,
It'd probably take a lot bigger building if we go with something like that.
we'd have to spend
Yeah.
more money.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've been doing some things. Jared's been saving cardboard, and we're trying to play the market. We've got a little bit more ability to do that.
Electronics.
Electronics, I think we've got a better avenue to get rid of those. That's saved a little bit.
Glass, I think, is what I'm looking at.
I'm working with Region F on glass right now. They're telling me there's a better option for us. We're just trying to figure that out.
Good.
Yeah, some of that stuff, it costs more to ship it than you get. And that-
Specifically glass.
Specifically glass, yeah. It's tough,
Do we crush it?
Yeah.
Okay.
but, and we've got a crusher, we were awarded a Region F grant to replace the crusher we have. it's like everything else, you get it 2 years later, you know, you want it 1 year and 2 years later when you get it, so I don't, we may get
December
this fall.
1st is what they're telling us right now.
Okay.
What are tipping fees currently? $40, $50 a ton?
Probably.
I'm not sure.
Probably, I'd say mid-40s.
Okay,
Last time I was aware of it, I'm sure they haven't gone
Yeah.
down, they might be 50 now, but
Yeah.
yeah, in the $45 to $50 range would be my guess.
so if most of that is cardboard, that 104,467 at 171, I think tipping fees would be probably around $25,000 tonnage, so that, and, you know, I know it's not on this bottom line, but it's still something that's out there that's saving.
Yeah, originally when this was set up, I think when the landfill closed out here, and this program was started because they were having to haul everything to Sedalia. And this was established to minimize the amount that was needed to haul over there. Of course, we weren't paper pellets and those types of things.
Yeah.
I believe we were getting tipping fees at that time. I think we might have been splitting tipping fees with the city, so
Okay.
for every ton they dumped, the tipping fee was half what it would have been in Sedalia, plus just fuel savings from having to drive over there. Then that went away, where we were not getting any tipping fees or any share of what was being saved, and that's kind of where we've been at
Okay.
for the last probably 8 years,
Yeah.
9 years. So there is a benefit financially on avoiding tipping fees. We're just not the ones that are getting.
See it, right. Mhm.
Yeah, I tell Chuck, my wife would absolutely kill me if I had anything to do with that going away, so.
Hey, as far as your storage right now for cardboard, how, are you full, or you still got room?
Probably 70%.
Okay.
Got some room.
And there's also the old cooling tower basin there that has been identified to put a roof on. I don't know if you've seen it, for additional storage.
Okay.
Whether or not that would qualify for Region F funding, we don't know yet. I think Garrett's had a few conversations with Derek about that. Region F is not gonna have any grants come out or opportunities till after the first of the year. And it may be even longer after that. They may have to rewrite some rules, which would shut them down, and there'd be a pause in the funding for a period until they could get that stuff rewritten. Whether or not that's gonna happen, I don't know. Dewey Hedrick, he's still our Region F representative, and I've been talking to him a little bit about some of that stuff, so he's doing a good job of keeping me in the loop.
Yeah, the baler would be a challenge if we had something go wrong with the baler.
Baylor would be,
A big expense if we didn't have funding.
yeah, I think we've got it identified, and you know, maybe a building and an awning or some other things. You know, we've got a pretty good reputation with Region F, and they really like our program, our facility. So, you know, we've had pretty good luck with getting grants we've applied for through them. And without that, this would look a whole lot worse.
Any other business to discuss? Next board meeting will be Thursday, November 2nd. Everybody good with it? Maybe Spencer will even be back.
Yeah.
Be nice.
Yeah. But he's probably ready to get there.
He called me yesterday, he sounded pretty good though.
Is he home?
He's doing therapy. Yeah. But I think everything went really well, and wasn't as bad as they thought, so.
He was supposed to find out yesterday if he could come home today or tomorrow.
And then the 25th at 11:30?
Yes.
Here.
Yes.
I move we adjourn.
A second.
Motion second to adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
All right.
All right.